Welcome, everyone. One of the best ways to prepare for the IELTS speaking test is to see it in action. That's exactly what we're doing today with this complete mock test from Spinta. As you listen, think about what the candidate does well and where they could improve. Afterwards, we'll compare notes with a full performance breakdown. Let's begin.
Good morning. Can I have your full name, please?
Good morning. My name is EmilyStone.
Thank you, Emily. Where are you from?
I come from Bristol in the southwest of England. It is a medium-sized city with a lively art scene and lots of green spaces. I moved to the city centre recently because it is closer to my office, and I like the cinemas and cafes around my flat.
Do you work, or are you a student?
I work as a software engineer for 5 years now, mainly on mobile applications, and occasionally on web services. The role is challenging but rewarding, because I get to solve real user problems, and collaborate with designers and product managers every day.
What do you like most about that work?
What I enjoy most is the creative problem solving, and the sense of making something people use. I also value the team culture. We do code reviews, share knowledge, and there is flexibility to try out new libraries or approaches, so I am always learning.
Tell me about the area where you live.
I live in a neighborhood that used to be industrial but now has small galleries and independent shops. There are good bus links and a market on weekends. It is quite mixed socially, which I like because you meet different kinds of people, and there are pockets of quiet parks where I go running.
If you could change one thing about it, what would it be?
I would improve public recycling and pedestrian spaces. At the moment, some streets are dominated by cars, which makes walking less pleasant. More tree planting and safer crossings would encourage people to walk or cycle, which I think would help community life.
What do you do in your free time?
In my free time, I enjoy reading contemporary fiction, going to small concerts, and cooking. I often meet friends for dinner, and we try new recipes. On weekends, I like to take short trips to the countryside to recharge, especially when the weather is good.
Why do you enjoy those activities?
They balance the analytical side of my job. Reading helps me relax and gives new perspectives. Music is social and energizing, and cooking is creative but low pressure. Altogether, they help me switch off from screens and maintain good relationships.
Now I'm going to give you a topic. You have 1 minute to prepare. Describe a memorable trip you took. Say where you went, who you went with, what you did, and explain why it was memorable.
Well, one trip that stands out is a 10-day visit to Iceland 2 summers ago, with 2 close friends. We drove around the ring road, so we saw waterfalls, glaciers, and volcanic landscapes. I remember hiking on a glacier, soaking in a natural hot spring, and watching the midnight sun. The trip was memorable because the scenery felt otherworldly yet so peaceful, and the shared small challenges, like finding accommodation in remote spots, brought us closer. Also, the light at midnight made photography magical, and I learned a lot about landscape conservation there, which changed how I plan travel now.
When was that trip?
It was in July 2 years ago, just after the pandemic restrictions eased, so there was a sense of freedom in traveling again, and everything felt more vivid for that reason.
How did that experience change your attitude to travel?
It made me more intentional. I now prefer slower trips where I spend more time in one region, connect with local initiatives, and try to reduce my impact. I plan activities that support local guides and conservation efforts, rather than just ticking off sites quickly.
Let's move on to some more general questions about travel. Do you think travel is important for young people?
Yes, travel can be very important because it exposes young people to different cultures and ways of thinking. It encourages independence and problem solving when they navigate unfamiliar places. However, it is also important that travel is accessible and responsible, so it doesn't harm local communities.
What are the benefits of traveling with friends rather than alone?
Traveling with friends offers shared memories and safety. You can split tasks like planning and driving, and there is someone to reflect on experiences with afterwards. On the other hand, Solo travel forces you out of your comfort zone more, so both have different benefits.
Do you believe technology has changed the way people travel?
Absolutely. Technology affects planning and on-the-ground experiences. Apps make booking and navigation easier, and social media shapes destinations' popularity. This can be positive by improving information, but it can also create over-tourism. I think travelers need to use technology thoughtfully.
How can tourists reduce their negative impact when visiting fragile environments?
They can follow local guidelines, stay on marked paths, support small local businesses, and limit single-use plastics. Choosing lower-impact transport and offsetting carbon where possible helps too. Education before the trip is key, so visitors understand local sensitivities.
Some people say travel is a luxury. Do you agree?
To some extent, yes. Travel requires time and money, so it is a privilege. But there are affordable ways to travel nearer to home and learn from different communities without long flights. I think policy should make cultural exchange more accessible to more people.
Finally, how do you see tourism changing in the next 10 years?
I expect tourism to become more sustainable and experience-focused. People will prioritize meaningful interaction and environmental responsibility. Technology will personalize trips more, but there will also be a pushback against mass tourism. If I would have more time, I would travel more to see these changes firsthand, but I try to balance travel with local commitments.
Thank you, Emily. That is the end of the speaking test.
The candidate demonstrated Band 8 level performance. Notable errors included saying, "I work as a software engineer for 5 years now," when it should be, "I have worked as a software engineer for 5 years," and saying, "If I would have more time, I would travel more," when it should be, "If I had more time, I would travel more." These slips happened only occasionally across the test and did not impede understanding. Fluency was strong, with a smooth flow, natural discourse markers, and only brief hesitations. Vocabulary was precise and appropriate, with words like conservation, over-tourism, and landscape conservation used accurately. Grammatically, the candidate used complex structures successfully most of the time, with occasional lapses in conditional and perfect tenses. This performance merits Band 8 because communication was effective, vocabulary was sophisticated, and pronunciation clear, while the minor slips and complex grammar prevented a higher band. To reach Band 9, the candidate would need near total consistency in complex structures and absolute accuracy under pressure. Thank you for practicing with this IELTS speaking mock test. Visit Spinta for more comprehensive mock tests and personalized feedback to boost your IELTS score.